I hope you still have the energy to withstand the last speaker of the day. I see a lot of people. I'm sorry we have put you in a theatre style setting, but the response originally was only meant to be a workshop for about 50 to 75 people. But unprecedented response and request came, and then we had to accommodate everybody. So we are sorry that we are unable to provide you with more comfortable sitting. But anyway, we can't change it now, but maybe next time we'll see that we'll have a better venue. I am talking this as a Joint Secretary of Chamber, not as a Speaker of the day. Okay. Friend, before I start the topic, I was seeing the great interest in the subject, and I am informed that there are about 55 to 60 non-members who are attending this conference, who are attending this workshop. Let me tell you, Chamber has started a study circle which is called FEMA Study Circle. It is going to be effective from June 2014, and whatever we have discussed today, in fact, we'll be taking several sessions, we'll be calling RBI people, we'll be having our own experts, we'll be leading. I request all of you to join that FEMA study circle. And maybe what you have learned here is just probably you have understood the tip of the iceberg. There are lots of things, there are lots of definitions which even today after 15 or 20 years of understanding FEMA, we have 3 opinions about it actually. So I feel you should try and join this FEMA study circle. Now coming to the topic for today. The topic is presentation on establishment of branch, liaison, project office and regulatory issues connected with that setup. The format for our discussion would be a very interactive session. You may intervene, you may interrupt me anytime, just raise your hand. Maybe if it's not a very longest question, we may try to discuss at that time, or maybe we'll keep it post my presentation. So let there be a dialogue and not a monologue at our end. Okay, so before I start the presentation, this is going to be the index of the content. Entry strategies inbound, regulatory issues in FEMA and income tax. IT is income tax for LO, BO and PO. LO is liaison office, BO is branch office, PO is project office. We will use the word LO, BO, PO more frequently just to save time. So the part A part, entry strategies inbound. We have a classic structure. In fact, I had to change this slide because of the recent notification from RBI on the LLP. Earlier we just said, the top 2. As a foreign entry strategies for a foreign entity, as a foreign company or as an Indian company. We didn't have a LLP structure available till date. But now recently RBI has added the LLP structure. So we have now threefold. And then as a foreign company, the area what we are going to deal today, liaison office, branch office or a project office. What do you mean by as a foreign company? Say for example, we have Microsoft Incorporated, USA. They want to set up a liaison office or a branch office or a project office. They won't write Microsoft India Private Limited, right? They will write Microsoft in India liaison office, or they will write Microsoft in India branch office, or Microsoft in India project office. So that's the difference, what we mean by entry as a foreign company. And next is, as an Indian company means they will set up their wholly owned subsidiary, either 1% or 100%. Subsidiary means 50 and above. Then they can use the word India Private Limited. They will be called Microsoft India Private Limited. So that's the difference basically. We are basically bound by only one notification. The whole topic is bound by FEMA 22. Just a notification for setting up of a branch, liaison or a project office. Now you have heard all the speakers speaking of several sections of FEMA, section 2, section 6. I am going to only focus section 6. Basically, that's going to be mainly for branch, liaison and project office. So what basically is, if you see the definition which Mayurpal has taken us through, section 2(v)(3) of FEMA, branch, liaison office or any other office in India owned or controlled by a person resident outside India shall become person resident in India. He has dealt just in the previous presentation that one of the definition of a person resident in India is setting up of an office by a foreign entity in India. Basically, it will be considered as a person resident in India. For doing this, they cannot just simply set up an office in India. They need to take a prior approval from Reserve Bank of India for branch and liaison office. They just simply can't identify an office space, open a bank account and simply come to India. Anybody has any doubts or any question on this first part, because this is the most crucial part. We may be going into more detailed. Yeah. Yeah.
So one time affair or it has to be changed. Suppose if authorized dealer gets changed subsequently.
Right.
Or it could be like once you set up a shop. That time only you need to take progress.
Okay, I will cover it. It's coming in future slide, but just to make your point, it is given for a period of 3 years initially, and then every 3 years you have to apply for renewal through your authorized dealer. Right? Authorized dealer will then extend your approval every time.
That those formalities so AD will do, or so that be the company who has set up the shop need to?
No, company has to first apply to AD that I wish to renew, and then AD will process your application, seeing there are documents which are mentioned. If you have complied with it, they would automatically renew it and give a report to RBI. But the first initiation has to come from the company.
Yes.
Right?
First of all, it will go to AD category 2,
Yeah.
because they do not have any presence in India.
Right.
So then they will make an approach to AD2,
Correct.
and then AD2 will forward the application.
Perfect. Perfect.
Sir, we change the AD from some chartered bank to HSC. And those need to be implemented or it would be an automatic process?
No, basically, see what has happened. When you see this process, the first thing is you have to first approach an AD. When you forward your application to RBI to set up your liaison office, he will do first the due diligence. He will exercise know your customer regulation. He will see the antecedents of the parent, what activities they are into. Are they into activities which are regulated activities or unregulated activities, or where 100% FDI is permitted? After having done that, he will give his comments and recommendation to RBI. So generally changing an AD is not very easy, because that AD has recommended your case. So when you go to a new AD, you have to apply to RBI and get his confirmation.
Liaison office or say representative office, if he wants to open this several offices across various states,
Right.
so registration with only that respective state ROC or only one ROC?
Correct. We'll come to that point. I have 2 slides on that. Yeah. I cannot hear you. What is the meaning of regulated? It's regulated under FEMA. So we have no RBI in place. It's under FEMA. No, they don't come to your office. In fact, there is no machinery in RBI to visit a particular LO or VO unless there is a complaint by the authorized dealer. When you file your annual activity certificate and there is a negative mention of activities there, and they have mentioned that terms and conditions are not complied, then RBI may try to come in. Okay, now there are 2 more categories of foreign companies. One is the insurance companies and foreign banks. In case of foreign insurance companies, RBI has no power to regulate them. Simply you have to apply to IRDA, which is Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India. They are based out of Hyderabad. You have to apply to them and they will control the opening of office, branch or a liaison office of a foreign insurance company. And when it comes to bank, whether it's a representative office, LO or a branch in India, it is covered by Banking Regulation Act 1949 and DBOD, which is the central office in Mumbai, will grant the permission for either branch or a rep office. You don't have to go to the foreign exchange department for that. And then on the project office front, there are certain conditions where you don't need an approval. I will come to that in greater detail. Now in RBI, under LO and BO, we have two categories. One is RBI route, what we call it more of it, RBI always says automatic route. Can anybody say what is automatic here? Has anybody experience to say what is meaning of automatic route, what is meaning of general permission? Correct. So when you talk to a foreigner, he says automatic means nothing. I have to simply think and I have to start. That is what means automatic. But there is nothing like automatic. Automatic means you are permitted. Automatic means if you apply to your AD has power to register it, or you apply to RBI, you are permitted to do it. There is nothing like automatic or non-automatic. Everything is by approval or by intimation. So basically, if you see here, RBI route is you are permitted to open a liaison office. This is very, very important condition. More than 50% of applications are rejected mainly under this ground. Principal business of foreign entity, eligible for 100% FDI under automatic route. Let's take an example. Certain activities are not under automatic route. A multinational conglomerate having shipping, telecom, banking, infrastructure, some defense item manufacturing in their conglomerate, and they want to set up office in India, liaison office in India. They will say that you are in defense related item, which is not under 100% FDI route, or you are under a banking, one of your division is a banking division or a finance division, NBFC. We can't allow you to set up. So first you demerge this unit. If you want to do a trading activity of chemicals or petrochemicals or plastics, you demerge this particular division, make it into a separate company and then you come to us. Otherwise we won't be able to give you permission. And hundreds of applications are rejected mainly on this ground currently. So if you don't fall under that, then you have to go to RBI under the government route, where RBI will forward it to government. What do you mean by government? In RBI, their only connection with them in Delhi is Department of Economic Affairs. Department of Economic Affairs is part of Ministry of Finance. There are two divisions, one is a NBFC division and one is other than NBFC. They call it Capital Market Division, which is there are two different offices, one is in North Block and one is on Parliament Street. So basically, they completely control all the applications received from RBI. Then they do a distribution of files among various ministries. If it's a defense, it goes to Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Commerce and various other ministries, including IB, Ministry of Home, Ministry of External Affairs, depending on which country we are dealing it, from where it is coming. So that's how it is. Specifically, if we have a non-government NGO, say a Red Cross, right, or a Lions International, right, want to set up a liaison office, it's an NPO, or any government department of a foreign bank or a foreign government want to set up a liaison office or a branch office, you have to go through the government route. RBI does not have any power. And why it is so? Because it's on reciprocal basis, right? If has that country given us any approval or rejected any approval when India has applied to that country, or how is their view on our investments in their country? Have they stopped any investments or repatriation of funds from that country to here? Are our Indian companies safe in that country? So on reciprocal basis, they take a call whenever NPO or NGOs or government departments are applying for LO or BO. Especially under the FATF, Financial Action Task Force, they want to see the control of terrorist money anti-money laundering, seeing the funding of various terrorist groups, that's all being done through the government route. Now what is the criteria? This is not a very important. The first one where they are rejecting is major criteria for rejection. Second criteria where many of them gets rejected is a track record and a net worth criteria. In the track record, you need a profit making track record for immediately preceding 3 years in case of a liaison office and 5 years in case of a branch office. So basically, if you can't comply with it, then there is a way out. We'll come to the next slide. I mean, if you can't comply with it. Similarly, net worth for a branch office you need 100,000 US dollar minimum, and a liaison office 50,000 US dollar. In case you can't comply with either of the two conditions of track record and net worth, you can give a letter of comfort from your main parent company, provided you say, like I gave an example of a chemical division being split or demerged into a separate company, and when they want to open a liaison office, they can say I am just a new unit, but my parent is, a 50-year-old or a 10-year or a 20-year-old organization, and give a letter of comfort from them, so their profitability, and based on that you can surely get the approval. There is a format given in the notification how a letter of comfort should be given.
Sir,
Yeah.
so when you say letter of comfort, it has to be of the immediate parents. If there is a structure where you have 4 or 5 companies, the parent, because the criteria says that you have to give the profit making track record of the company who is giving the letter of comfort as well. So does it talk about immediate parent or the actual the amount?
See, it just says letter of comfort from your parent. They have not mentioned anywhere in notification immediate parent. Ultimately, they want to see that why this is there. I'll tell you reason, practical reason. This was not there 3 years ago. This has just come recently. Reason is, we asked RBI why you have kept this track record. He says, Mr. Lucia, hundreds of liaison offices, branch offices are in India. We have approved, but they have no funding from their parent. The employees here say that we have not got salary for months together. The vendors, creditors here say that there is no funding from parent, and that's how our Indian employees, Indian citizens are suffered. And from that point of view, this criteria has come. So idea is somebody has to take responsibility. They are not very technical about immediate parent or ultimate
They
parent.
are, because
Yeah.
it's a practical scenario. If you read the letter of comfort, it talks about blue company as well. But while interpreting, they say that blue companies are not allowed. It's immediate parent. That's why
Okay.
this is coming.
I don't know personal experience, maybe what you say could be correct, but this is what their intention was when they came with this letter of comfort actually.
Letter of comfort has been worded in such a way that
Okay.
blue company is included.
Okay.
While interpreting, they are not taking it into consideration.
Okay, maybe it could be true. I have no practical experience. Next is on the restriction. Mayur Bhai said about our neighbors, and he was giving example. So we have here more neighbors than what he has been told. You see, certain entities are unable to open office in India. Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Iran, China. Recently, Hong Kong and Macau is also added on 15 January to establish office in India. And why Hong Kong, Macau is recently added? Because the UN cry was taken by China during their meeting in Delhi last time. That when the president had come to meet our president in India, they said you are only writing China, but Hong Kong and Macau is politically part of China. And you have not mentioned it, and you are sanctioning approval to Hong Kong companies and other companies to set up a liaison office, and that's how this restriction has recently come in on 15 January.
So,
Yeah.
so will they accept the application if a China entity wants to apply for an LLC? Will they even accept the application, or it's not accepted only?
No, I tell you, the status is like this. In all these cases, applications would be accepted, RBI. RBI restriction is not equivalent to banning, right? It is not prohibited. Restriction means they will take the application, They will forward it to Department of Economic Affairs in Delhi. It will take at least 4 to 1 year period where Department of Economic Affairs will move around at least 6 or 7 ministries of Delhi, take their consent, and then approval is given. So it's not that they don't give. But yes, cases of Pakistan, Bangladesh are almost rejected. Afghanistan, Iran, they are simply rejected. Yes, China, Hong Kong, Macau, Sri Lanka, they are even today accepting, but it takes 6 months to 1 year to accept. But Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Iran, it's almost rejected in all cases. Yeah.
Previous slide, just one question. That if there is a company which does not meet the criteria, maybe because it is in early stages of incorporation
Right.
or something, then in that cases, do they consider that, I have a projected plan and I am going to meet the criteria? So on a case-to-case basis,
No, they don't. Either you give a letter of comfort, if you are unable to meet those 2 criteria,
Because if it is an independent company, if there is no direct parent or something, then
no, it will be difficult for you to set up. They are not entertaining any such request. So they cannot bypass what is there in the notification or in the regulation. They cannot do it. Who can open only body corporate form, association of individuals allowed to set up a license or a branch office? The query comes from a proprietor firm abroad saying that I wish to open a license office. We have said it is not possible because they don't fit into the criteria. What are the activities permitted for a license office? Representing parent company, promoting export and import, promoting technical, financial collaboration between parent and group company, acting as a communication channel, and acting as a market research and some kind of other activities relating to collection of data. Just to give you a feedback, who wants to open a license office in India practically? Can somebody answer? Why would somebody open a license office, not set up a wholly owned subsidiary or a joint venture in India?
We study the market.
Right. Do you feel, I would study the market by coming very often to India. I can make 5 business trips to India. I can visit whole of the country to study the market. Why do I need a license office? Practically.
Sometimes they have multiple objects also, like they already have a customers, they want to create a communication channel between the
Right.
customers and the company.
Right. Okay. So next level, in the sense, once having identified, then to have a proper. Okay. What about you?
Start a dialogue, have a channel.
Okay.
Establish a channel which can help you earn free form of
Okay. Fine. I think answers are great. But let me tell you on a practical front, this is a great issue among income tax department. Not much in RBI. Almost 99% of license offices are doing business. They are acting as a branch office. Yeah, they are actually PE. And because of that, a form called Form 49C has been introduced by CBDT, because wherever they have gone for a search or a survey, they have found, they have gone through the communication, they have gone through the emails, they have interviewed the customers whom these people have met. All of them on oath have said they have come, they have marketed, they have negotiated the price, they are doing everything. We have never even seen who is in head office. So this is the basic issue currently. Most of the license offices are facing. Now, what are the do's and don'ts of LO? It cannot undertake any commercial business activity directly or indirectly. Cannot earn any income. All expenses to be met by inward remittances. Cannot have any signing or commitment powers on behalf of HO. What does this mean? You simply should do some market research. Simply you should carry out some survey. Simply you can identify a customer but then give those details to your HO. Simply you can do is that if your HO tells go and deliver this document to a customer. Okay, go and mention and send this email to this customer. Inform that this is my last offer. Inform that these are the products available with my HO. Those are the kinds of preparatory or auxiliary services we call in income tax or in DTAA. That is permitted. But they can't go full hog in going for marketing, giving a commitment on behalf of HO that this is the price, this is the delivery schedule, I am confirming the price schedule, quantity and quality. These all things LO cannot give. So practically if you see, if I am a businessman, why I would open a license office? When I have no authority, when I can do nothing practically. So more or less, there is a very thin line of divide between a license office and a branch office. But from tax saving point of view, India has more than 85 DTAAs signed with various countries. One of the clause, Article 5 in all the DTAA is permanent establishment. And there they have defined, it does not include activities which are covered in license office. And that's how most of the foreign companies will come to you that I want to open a license office, because they don't want to pay tax in India. They don't want to commit any income or attribute any income in India. So that's the basic understanding why you will find maximum people opening a license office. Yeah.
Can you elaborate more on financial liability which you mentioned that you can?
Yeah, say let's take an example. Let's take an example where I want to do a Delhi metro project, what's going on, or a Reliance, the Mumbai metro project, right? So I am a foreign company. I will send my person to India to set up a license office to explore possibilities of doing business in India, to take up some contract in India, basically. Then I would say, okay, there is a chance where I can tie up with, say, Tata, or let's take case of Starbucks, I think live case of Starbucks. We have Starbucks all over the country to Tata. Tata Global Beverages has a joint venture with Starbucks. So how does it start? Starbucks has set up a license office first in India. It will explore, negotiate with several companies in India with whom they can have a tie-up to have their stores all over the country. They may talk in the north with somebody, south with somebody, east with somebody, west with somebody. Then they will make a report. According to us, Tata is the best company to come up with a joint venture to have our Starbucks chain of restaurants all over the country. And then that's how the financial collaboration would come in. And then Tata and Starbucks would form a joint venture and would have a 50-50% partnership. Or you can say Montblanc pen. They had a tie-up with somebody else earlier. Now Titan is in picture. They have a license office in Delhi, Montblanc. They are continually searching for a good partner to expand their business in India. So recently they have cancelled their existing arrangement with their partner and tied up with Titan. Now Montblanc pens and entire range of Montblanc will be sold by Titan in India. And from say 1st August or 1st September, it will go on. So these are the job of a license office. For a live case, I tell you of insurance companies. We have so many insurance companies, our customer, who want to enter India, but they are all waiting for, currently 26% is maximum investment by a foreign entity, foreign insurance company in India. They all are waiting. The date becomes 49. They all are going to rush, have a tie-up with Indian insurance company. So that if they are in India, they can know what are the opportunities, which companies they are going to come up with. They can have a dialogue and keep it everything ready till the FDI policy is changed. Unfortunately, there is no change. They all are sitting dead with no activity, waiting for an increase in the equity participation from 26 to 49 or 74. That's how it answers your question. Next is having the do's and don'ts. Basically, this will come in later, but just a nutshell is you need lots of compliances. You file with Director General of Income Tax, your activity of the license office. You file with DGP, Director General of Police. They were never in picture earlier, but recently, in view of terrorist activity, they have said they want to monitor all the foreigners who are operating and involved